Hello guys and welcome back to Planet 40k Tyranids. I just wanted to go back to an article that came out from the Warhammer community page on the 14th of April, so that was a few days ago for me recording now, so you may receive this tomorrow. So it's a few days out of date, but I wanted to kind of go back and talk about it and how it could potentially relate to Tyranids with our Tyranids weapons. So you can see from this article here, 14th of April, weapon rolls are fun and flexible in the new Warhammer 40k. So they've gone on to basically explain how some of the weapon names and abilities are going to work for 10th edition. And they've also given some examples, and they've of course used Space Marine models because that's what they like to do in every edition. So the very first one here is they've explained what assault and what heavy is going to mean. So let's just quickly go through this, then I'm going to kind of convert it to Tyranids. It is a prediction, it is speculation. I did say exactly the same thing on the Necron channel. There is no Tyranids information here, there's no Necrons information here, so it's purely my predictions and nothing more. Right, so this bolt rifle, which is the main weapon for the Space Marine troops if you like, it's got the assault keyword as well as the heavy keyword, so it's got two keywords there and they're going to interact in different ways. So let's talk about the assault keyword to begin. So weapons with the assault keyword in their profile are known as assault weapons. If that unit advances this turn, you can effectively still fire your weapons in the shooting phase. Now it doesn't say anything here in regards to a -1 to hit penalty anymore. So at this moment in time we can only presume that if you've got an assault weapon you can advance and fire as normal. Now why that's important is because we've got quite a lot of assault weapons in our Tyranids arsenal. First of all we've got the gargoyles, they've got the flesh borers, same with the termagants. They've also got the flesh borers, they're assault weapons. Well, from 9th edition they were assault weapons, so according to this, in theory, we could advance with those models, advance with those units, and still fire as normal. We've also got the warriors with the devourers or the death spitters, raveners. I mean, raveners weren't that commonly used in 9th. I do believe they're going to make a comeback for 10th edition. There's a lot of attacks there. AP has been reset, so watch this space for raveners, but they've also got assault weapons. And even if you look at the bigger stuff, Carnifexes, Tyrannifexes, the Tyrannifexes in particular have got the Flesh Borer Hive, which is assault 30. So we could potentially advance with that thing and still fire as normal as well. And in fact, coming away from the units just for a moment, I know all the hive fleets have gone and we're going to get a new we get new detachments, aren't we? We've already got the invasion hive fleet. Now, they've also said that they're going to be dropping more hive fleets or detachments for every other faction, whether it's when the codex comes out or they're just going to do it as and when throughout the edition. Now, there could potentially be some hive fleets that are relating to being quick, advancing, similar to the Kraken Hive Fleet, if you like, being able to advance and still do stuff. So there may be some advantages later on with some detachments that are good at advancing. And if that is the case, we're still going to be able to fire without a -1 to hit penalty. So that is the assault keyword for weaponry. Now there's also the heavy keyword to go through, which is on the same weapon here, the bolt rifle. Weapons that have got the heavy keyword, if they remain stationary, they get a +1 to their hit roll. So a lot of the time you're going to be hitting on a 2+. If you're starting off at a 3+, you'll be hitting on a 2+. Of course, if you start on a 4+, you're hitting a 3+, and so on. It means you don't need to get buffs from certain areas to get a +1 to your hit roll. I mean, that wasn't as common with Tyranids as it is with other factions. So that in fact is a good thing for us, really. If you've got a heavy weapon and it stays stationary, just stay still, +1 to hit. Again, I'll go through a little list of what we've got in terms of heavy weapons. The Exocrine with the cannon, you've got the Hive Guard with the Impaler cannon, the heavy venom cannons with your Hive Tyrant for example, your Tyrannifex again with the acid spray or the rupture cannon. In fact, going back to the acid spray, that's going to be something quite interesting for 10th because this was an automatically hitting weapon. But if you're going to be staying still, you're not going to gain any bonuses by staying still in fact because you're automatically hitting anyway, so I'm going to presume that's going to change for 10th edition with that weapon. We've also got to take into consideration the devastating wound ability, which some of the weaponry is going to get. So what this is, that in fact they've showed this for a Space Marines Terminator with an assault cannon. So on an unmodified wound roll of a 6, you'll inflict a mortal wound on top of the damage. Now I can't really work out what units or what weapons within the Tyranid Codex could potentially get devastating wounds. I mean, maybe the standard venom cannons, you don't get many of them in your actual list. But yeah, you'll have to let me know down in the comments below if you think, or what weapons you believe potentially could get devastating wounds. Moving down the list, I mean Melter, we don't really need to talk about Melter. There's not really much Melter in the Tyranids Codex, unless I'm missing something, I don't think so. The next one, which they've showed an Eldari model here, with the Shuriken Cannon, and it's got the Ignores cover ability and the Sustains Hits ability, or the Sustains Hits 1 ability. I'm going to ignore the Ignores cover ability, that only really relates to our Hive Guard, we're just going to presume that they're going to get that. But the sustained hits ability, on an unmodified hit roll of a 6, they're going to score an additional hit. Again, I can't really think what weapons we're going to have that could potentially get sustained hits. I mean, could some of the smaller stuff get it? Probably not. I mean, the Termagants ain't going to get it because they've already showed that data sheet and it would have been a bit overpowered anyway. It's got a lot of attacks, a lot of shots. Potentially this is where the automatically hitting weapons could go. The acid spray again, or maybe the pyrovols with their flamers. Maybe they can go in that direction. Rather than getting automatic hits, maybe they get the sustained hits ability. I'm not really sure on that one. Moving down the article, we've got the twin linked ability, which is making a nice return for 10th edition. So then I'm going to add this keyword to anything that has, well, anything that is twin fired, or also works in melee as well, as you've got here with 2 power fists on this Space Marine model. Now we've got a lot of models that have got twin, for example, in fact let's give some examples. We've got the twin sabers on the Swarm Lord, we've got the twin bone swords on the Tyranid warriors. We've got the 2 Scything Talons, lots of models got 2 Scything Talons or 2 Rending Claws, monstrous Rending Claws, monstrous Scything Talons. There's quite a lot of models, quite a lot of units that have got that. So we could maybe predict that a lot of them are going to get the twin linked ability, which means they're going to re-roll their wound rolls rather than getting the extra attacks. Being able to re-roll wound rolls with quite a lot of models in our codex could be a really good thing. We already mentioned the Swarm Lord, Tyranid Warriors, I've got the Tyrant Guard, Carnifexes, Screamer Killers, Old One Eye, Hive Tyrants. The list goes on and on and on in terms of what models could potentially get twin linked. And again, it doesn't just relate to ranged weapons. So guys, what do you think? In 10th edition with Tyranids starting from the index, maybe even the codex if we get that nice and early, what units are going to get these new, they're not new, but they're being revamped, these abilities such as the Assault keyword, the Heavy keyword, Sustained Hits keyword? Are there any that I've missed here? There probably is quite a lot because, yeah, every unit's going to have something different. So guys, remember to like and subscribe on your exits. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.